I'm Michael Bain and welcome to Triggered, coming to you from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains, brought to you this week by Muzzle Stick, one more layer of safety. And today I want to answer one of those Zen questions that weigh on us all the time, which is, what's the deal with the 32 H&R Magnum? I didn't realize it was a Zen question until we had last week's show and last week's podcast talking about the incredible Smith & Wesson Ultimate Carry snubs from Smith & Wesson and Lipsey's. 5-shot 38 special, 6-shot 32 H&R. Given my druthers, I'll take the 32 H&R. And I got a lot of response from people going like, isn't that un-American? How can you do that? Why would you take a 32 H&R over 327 Magnum? I thought it might be worth at least touching on that today. The very first hand ejector revolvers, that is, where the cylinder swung out and you used, wait for it, your hand to eject the cartridges, were 32 Smith & Wesson long. That was back in the 1890s. It's been a popular cartridge forever. 1984, H&R, Harrington and Richardson worked with Federal Cartridge to come up with the 32 H&R Magnum, which is essentially the equivalent of a 38 special, maybe pushing up to a 38 special plus P. This is the gun they designed it for, and yes, it is butt ugly. It does look apparently like it's been made with plumbing parts. However, I've had this thing forever. It's always worked. It was one of my first snubby revolvers. The H&R offered more shots than, say, a J-Frame Smith & Wesson. J-Frame came about in the 1950s and evolved throughout that period of time. Occasionally it was available in 32, usually in 38. Then 2007, Ruger came along and said, we're going to bump up the 32 H&R. We're going to bump it up to 327 Magnum. What that is the same way we got from 38 to 357, from 44 Special, 44 Magnum. It got longer. This is a 32 H&R. This is a 327. Ruger introduced it in the SP-101, which all of us have literally referred to as a wonderful gun that is in fact as heavy as a brickbat. They also introduced it in a series of their single actions. This is an 8-shot 327 Black Hawk. Eventually, they came up with a 7-shot single 6. This is one of my all-time favorite guns. Also a Lipsey special designed by Richard Mann. And finally, the 327 LCR. When we come back, I'm going to tell you why I put 32 H&Rs in my 327 LCR. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Stoeger, Everyday Tough. MTM Case Guard, quality shooting sports accessories. Hunter's HD Gold, they change so you don't have to. And Muzzle Stick, biggest, brightest, strongest. Welcome back to Triggered, and I'm going to tell you something that's going to sound silly. When we talk about the differences between a 327 Magnum, 32 H&R, 32 Smith & Wesson long, I think it's a division between gun culture version 1.0, e.g. me, and gun culture version 2.0. All the new people coming into the gun culture through concealed carry. When I grew up with guns, every month made bigger, better boomers. You know, first it's the 38 plus P, 357. You could jack a 357 up. Here's the loads in that month's guns and ammo that will actually create a bullet that if you shoot a car, the car will explode, blow up to the second floor of a building, the building will crumble. We liked that. We were very much in the throes of Magnum-itis. And suddenly we get a whole bunch of people in here who are like, can we just carry a gun for safety and one that will protect us well? We're not going to shoot enough so that we can shoot one of those guns that, say, you see in a Jason Statham movie that can actually explode an aircraft carrier. We would just like a self-defense gun. So you got a difference there. 32 H&R is a good cartridge. If you go back about 2019, before the world ended, this is Charter Arms. It's called a Professional. It's a 7-shot 32 H&R Magnum. We talked about it a lot here because I said, this is a great gun. It's a great gun because it's the perfect kind of gun to set on your bedstead. It's an easy gun to shoot. It's got 7 shots. It makes a lot of sense. With my own LCR, this is my go-to pocket pistol. When I'm working at home, I'm not doing anything, I haven't put on a handgun, a holster, or anything like that, I put this pocket pistol in my pocket. It has 6 shots of .327 Magnum. I load it with 32 H&Rs. Generally, these are from Double Tap, 120 grain 32 H&R wad cutters. It's easy to shoot. It's accurate. It's exactly the kind of gun I'd want to be able to get my hands on quickly. Just because you can have a bigger, more powerful cartridge doesn't necessarily mean that's the way you should go. All of the research we have been seeing in the last few years shows that more hits is more of a reliable stopper than a great big Magnum cartridge. Great big Magnum cartridges are harder to shoot. And I say that as somebody who has shot enough great big Magnum cartridges that my orthopedist says she could get an actual medical journal article on my hand. What you want to do is to be able to deliver multiple shots quickly. And 32 H&R is an ideal gun for that. So that's why with Smith & Wesson UC, it's why you've also got the Taurus 327 coming out in a 3-inch, 2-inch, or with the Toro. What you can do with that 327, load it with 32 H&R. It's a great choice. When we come back, Glock.
This week's Triggered is brought to you by Taurus USA. Always ready, always bring it. Ed Brown, the best money can buy for over 50 years. And SDS Imports Thesis. Thesis means quality.
Sometimes Glocks remind me of Legos. They go together in lots of different combinations. This was the Uber Glock. This is a copy of the P80, the very first Glock that Mr. Glock put together. It became the Glock 17. This, I think, is probably the best Glock ever made. It is a Glock 45. It has a Glock 17 frame with a Glock 19 shorter slide. This particular gun is a Glock gun sight service pistol. Easily, I think, the best Glock ever made. Recently, you've been able to find Glocks in 380. Obviously the 42, but this is, I think the 28 is what this is called. It's a 10-shot 380, the same size as Glock Model 26, right? You got this, you move the Legos around, have the pieces over here, mix and match is fun to do. This is the most recent one, and I really like this. This is the gun that Glock should have made probably right after he made this one. This is the 49, and what it is a Glock 17 length slide, the longer slide, a Glock 19 frame. I think we may have had an introduction to it, but for a guy with small hands, this is a great gun. Do you get a huge benefit from having a little bit more length of slide? No, but you get a little bit of benefit with it. This is an MOS version. You take this off, you can fit an optic on it. I'm going to fit an optic from C&H Precision, which is an optic made to set not on a Glock plate that screws onto the top, but directly into those screw holes. So I like it because the G19 fits my hand amazingly well. I think this would have been a super bestseller for Glock in, I don't know, 2000? But anyway, as with Legos, however you want your Glock, I am pretty sure you can find it that way, but you can always have it your way, have it your way. I'm Michael Bain. This is Triggered. You can find us on michaelbain.tv. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, X, all the places you would hope to be able to find fine shooting sports programming. And I will see you next week.